In my opinion, I do recommend Houston. Absolutely. And I'm not just saying that because I like Houston, because Houston honestly is not for everybody. Welcome everyone. In this video today, I'm going to tell you guys everything from the pros and cons of living in Houston. And no, I'm not just going to tell you all the generic stuff. I'm going to give you my real perspective, my real thoughts, and my honest opinion of what it's like to be in Houston, Texas. And if you are moving to Houston or thinking about relocating to Houston, y'all, make sure you subscribe to my channel, because on this channel, I'm going to give you guys all the exclusive knowledge, the tips, the advice that you need before you move to Houston. And I don't want you guys to miss another video, so make sure you subscribe below. Now let's get into the video. If you guys do not know me, my name is Ryen Williams, and I am a realtor here in Houston, and I help people relocate every single day to Houston, Texas. So before we get into the pros and cons of Houston, Texas, I do want to briefly talk a little bit about myself, because I am not from Houston, and so I do believe like my perspective is unique, because I'm not speaking from like a Houston resident. I'm speaking of somebody who has moved to Houston, lived life a little bit in Houston, because that's exactly what you're going to be doing soon. So my thing is, I was once in your position, right? I was once on YouTube. I don't really think TikTok was really that big then, but I was definitely researching every single thing to make sure I knew what I was getting into before I moved to Houston. And so that's why I think my perspective is very unique, because I'm speaking from a place of, I was in your shoes and now I live in Houston, and now I can give somebody my honest transparency about what it's like in my experience of being in Houston, right? Because it's different from when you are raised here in Houston, you live your whole life in Houston, versus a person who has moved here from a different place and started a whole new life in Houston. So I am from Denver, Colorado, and I honestly think Denver is a very pretty place. It's probably one of the most prettiest places in the world. I don't care what you say, that's my opinion. Especially around this time when the leaves start to fall, it's super pretty. Now, I was born and raised in Denver. I went to school in Denver all my life. And so when it comes to Colorado, I will say the culture is different. The environment is different. When it comes to food, it's definitely different than Houston. And also when it comes to things to do, I do feel like if you're not really into like the outdoors world, so like the mountains, hiking, skiing, those kind of things, it's not much to do. So that kind of sucks when you when you live there. I will also say, like, me and my mom, my sister, and my grandma used to go to a place called Northfield every single weekend. And so Northfield is an outdoor mall, and every single weekend we would go there, walk around. Sometimes we would buy stuff, sometimes we wouldn't, but we were just trying to get out the house, because there wasn't like things in place. There wasn't concerts, there wasn't festivals happening like that. Like, it's not much to do. And so if it wasn't like the mall or the movies, we really weren't doing anything. And it's so funny because we laugh about it all the time. Like, we used to go to Northfield every single weekend, like we was doing something, right? And so that's one of the downsides that I didn't like too much when living in Denver. Also, when I lived in Colorado, I just felt like it came to a point in my life where I felt like everybody knew everybody. Like, I already knew that my whole entire life living there. That's kind of how it was. But the older you get, the more I felt like I'm not meeting new people. Like, where are the people I have not met before? Because everybody done went to high school together, went to elementary together. And if we didn't go to school together, my cousin or your cousin, and it's just like a whole circle. So it's like everybody is family there, even though we're not really family. But for me, half of Colorado I feel like was my family, honestly. So it just like things like that I didn't really enjoy too much as I got older. I love the 4 seasons. So you do get the fall, the winter, the spring, the summer. Even though I kind of feel like Colorado does get majority of the winter 90% of the time. But for the most part, here and there we do get a sprinkle of every single thing. So I do love that, and I kind of miss that. Like, being able to change my clothes from a jacket to a coat, from sandals to boots. Like, I love that. And that is one thing that I did have to adjust to when I moved to Houston, because I had a whole bin of winter clothes, and I'm like, I can't wear this here. And we're gonna get into all that into the video, but that is one thing I had to adjust to. But also in Colorado, like, the traffic was different. The way you get around the city was different, because you don't have to get on different highways. We don't even have a lot of different highways. You don't have to get on the tolls if you don't want to get on the tolls. So things were a lot different growing up for me. And so when I moved to Texas, things were were very different. So y'all, when I moved to Texas, things were a lot different from what I had experienced growing up in Colorado. And so you're probably wondering, like, Ryan, how did you end up in Houston, right? And my mom is from Texas, her whole side is from Texas. And so she decided to move back in 2021, and that's how we ended up here. And so I would definitely say, like, that has been one of the best decisions I have ever made, because I didn't have to move to Houston with her. I could have just stayed in Colorado, but I chose to leave as well. And I would say I was scared, I was nervous, I was excited. I was like, any emotion that you can name, I had. And I would say everything worked out for me. I was able to navigate the city, make friends, build connections, build a business out here. I'm in a whole different state, and I have a whole real estate business. And I just, a lot has happened, a lot has changed for me in my life. I was able to grow more as a person, I feel like, here in Houston. And so I would not, if I can go back, I would do it all over again, probably sooner if I could, but everything happened for a reason. And honestly, y'all, I don't see myself leaving Houston anytime soon. Like, yeah, I may move somewhere in the future, but if I do, I'm gonna come back, because I truly love it here. And I feel like that's why this video is so important for you guys to learn, like, you know, perspectives of what it's like to be here, because everybody's perspective is going to be different. But all in all, you have to come down here and experience it yourself. That way you get your own perspective and your own opinion of what you think about Houston. But let's get into the pros and cons of Houston, y'all, because that's what y'all came here for. So I got my iPad with me to make sure I'm covering every single thing that I plan on covering. So I'm the kind of person who loves to end on a positive note. So let's start with the cons first and then head over to the pros, right? So the cons of Houston. I don't think this is really a con, but it's gonna segue into like my next point. Houston is huge. If you have never been to Houston, if you have never really experienced a big city, just know Houston is big. And I believe we're like either the third or the fifth biggest city in the US, and believe it, it's huge. I mean, people even say it, like, Houston is an hour away from Houston, and they say that because you can be in Houston and your friend can be in Houston, but y'all can be an hour away from each other, right? But y'all still got Houston for y'all's address. So that's how big Houston is, and that's also one thing I had to adjust to when moving here. And so with that being said, because Houston is so big and everybody is here, guess what else happens? Guess what else happens? Yep, you named it. The traffic. The traffic it can be terrible sometimes. Honestly, for me, it was a big adjustment because I didn't have to deal with traffic like that in Colorado. So that's one thing about Houston that I kind of dislike, like the traffic of it. But I do feel like when you live here, it becomes like the norm. Like, you know it's gonna be traffic. Like, we live in Houston, like, ain't no way of getting around it. But I also have heard people from like California say like our traffic is not as bad compared to like most places, and I honestly feel like the same too, because as I've been living here, I don't think it's that bad. And I think it's because, like, I'm a real estate agent, so I gotta drive everywhere, so I become accustomed to it. But I do think that if you are moving to Houston, just be aware of that, because that is something that people don't really realize when they come down here. They come down here to have fun, to kick it, to hang out, but when they move here, they're like, oh, the traffic is terrible, like, I don't like traffic. So if you are somebody who doesn't like traffic, who doesn't like driving all the time, then you may want to just, you know, start thinking more about that. And with that being said, Houston is definitely a place to where you do need a car. Honestly, realize, like, sidewalks will be like, you have a sidewalk and then you keep going and then the sidewalk just disappears. I don't know what that's all about, but if you're not in the suburbs, like, you don't really see sidewalks like that. To me, that's kind of weird. But anyways, you do need a car. And when it comes to the metro, so the metro is like Houston's public transportation. It doesn't go every single where. So if you're living on the north side or maybe like the west side of Houston, you may not always see the metro come where you are trying to go. So that's also something to keep in mind. If you're moving to Houston, make sure you have your transportation set up. You know, like, are you going to be Ubering? Are you going to have a car? And if you are going to catch the public transportation, make sure it's going to go where you're trying to go, because it doesn't go everywhere. Next is the weather. Now, the weather, again, could be a pro or a con depending on the kind of person you are. But for me, and for a lot of people, it could be a con. It's hot. Literally like 80%, I think I'm being too nice, 90%, 95% of the time year round. And so when it's hot, of course, when you live in the South, it's humid. I definitely recommend, like, if you're not from a place that's not hot all the time, come visit first, kind of get the feel of what's going to be like in the summertime. Because if you are a girl who loves to wear makeup, good luck. If you don't like wearing summer clothes all the time, good luck, because we are now in October headed into November, and I've been wearing sandals, shorts, and I'm just like, this is crazy. Like, when can we wear a jacket, put some sweats on, right? So it's hot pretty much year round, and with that comes with bugs, right? So you have the bugs, the mosquitoes, you do have water bugs that look like roaches, and I had to learn that because one was coming up from my sink one day and I thought it was a roach, and we don't do that. I have never seen a roach in my life because in Colorado it's too cold for that. And so here you see a little bit of every single thing, and I didn't even know certain bugs existed until I moved here. And so in the summertime is when you really see a lot of bugs. And if you're not, again, from a place that has like these kind of things, or if you don't live in the South, it can be an adjustment. So the bugs, the traffic, transportation, like those are all things that you need to be aware of before you move to Houston, right? And I'm just going through my list to make sure like I'm covering all the cons. Flooding. Now, outside of it being hot, you do get the rain and the high winds. And so that is something that I kind of don't like about Houston, is that it's one thing if it's hot, okay, whatever, we in the South, but the rain is crazy. Like, I remember when I moved here, like, it was a whole storm and I could not see. And in Houston, when it rains, and it's that kind of rain to where like you can't see sometimes, and you have to pull over or get off the highway if you're on the highway to be able to be safe, because it can rain really bad. And the thing is like people in Houston just can't drive. Like, and that's another con. People cannot drive. When you're a person who knows how to drive and went to school to learn how to drive, like you take driving, to a different level. But I feel like people in Houston just drive crazy. And when it comes to like bad weather, especially the rain, like people still drive super fast. So that is something to consider, when you are moving here, just be aware, right? And that's anywhere, honestly. But when it rains, it floods, and it floods really bad in certain areas. And so if you are going to purchase a house or even like rent a house, it's really important that you look to see if you're in the flood zone, because if you're in the flood zone, then you are prone to get a lot of flooding. If it rains or if it's a hurricane coming, like that area is going to be affected a lot. Now, the other thing when it comes to the weather in Houston is these storms, these winter storms that we have. And again, I'm coming from a place of, I've been through a lot of weather, from negative degrees, a snowstorm, anything when it comes to being cold. Like, I've been through it all. And when it happens in Colorado, the city still goes on. We do not shut down. I done walked in on ice. I done walked in a snowstorm. Like, I've been through it all. So sometimes in Houston, they do get ice storms, or they get like snow sometimes. And when this happens, the whole city shuts down. Now, sometimes when these storms happen, it causes the power to go out across a lot of different areas in Houston. Now, this affects Houston because, of course, like, we need the energy in our houses, right? We need to be able to, cook, and, we want the lights on so we can take a shower and all that good stuff. And I actually remember like I don't know if it was the first year I moved here or the first couple of months when I moved here. However, we were actually in this ice storm here in Houston, and our whole power went out. We were out of power for about 3 days off and on. We had family come in because they didn't have any power, and our power was on, then our power went out, so they went to somebody else's house. So it was just a lot going on. I think my experience with that is a little bit different. To me, it was a little bit annoying, if you will, because I'm like, why does this keep happening? But Houston, or Texas, is really not built for a place for it to be cold. And so when it gets to a certain temperature, if it snows, like the city has to shut down because they're not prepared for this. Now, when it comes to the power coming out, I hope they do better with that, because it sucks, right? And you put people at a disadvantage when the power is out across the city of Houston. But if you have a generator, like you're in good shape, but that's not everybody's case, right? So that's one thing. That is definitely a con. And that actually happens again when we have hurricanes. So if you have hurricanes, if you get really bad rain, again, you can't expect that power to come out sometimes. And it doesn't even matter like what area you're in, honestly, because it will happen in different parts of the area. And I think this last like snowstorm that we had, the city was out of power for a while in different places. And so that's something to keep in mind if you want to get a generator. But again, for me, it was more so annoying, like why does this keep happening? But I am used to like the cold, so like that part didn't really frustrate me. But for somebody who may not be used to that, that is something that you want to consider, just being prepared for. So far I have talked to you guys about like the traffic, the bugs, the floods, the flooding in Houston, the city systems when it comes to the weather and how it impacts and puts people at a disadvantage when it comes to those kind of things. Now, I told you in this video I was going to be very transparent and sprinkle in a little bit of my personal experience as well. So if you are somebody who's moving to Houston and, you may want to hang out, go out a little bit, I will say, I don't like going out sometimes because when it comes to parking, the parking is trash. So they're charging us, $20, $40 to park our cars. And it's just like, it's self-park. I'm paying you to park my own car and then to go get it when I'm ready to leave. So that's one thing I don't like. And when you come to Houston, if you just come to hang out, like you will see that. You will see people with signs on every corner, $20 to park, $40 to park, $30 to park, like in different areas of where you're trying to go. And that's a big thing, and that's a real thing too. Like you will see that a lot here in Houston. Like people are charging you crazy dollars to go park. And so if you are trying to move around to like different places, you may want to go to one place, another place, I do recommend, like if you're with a group of people, y'all all get in the same car, y'all split the parking, y'all leave y'all's car there, and then y'all Uber, or y'all just Uber in general. Because if you're trying to go different places, like paying $20 back to back is crazy. And then you're not even thinking about, the things you're going to do once you get inside the place, if you're going to drink or order food or whatever you do, right? So that's something I don't really like too much about like the Houston nightlife. That's something I don't like too much about the Houston scene, is that it's not feasible. Like it's not a lifestyle that you can just do all the time. Like it gets draining, it's expensive before you even get to the door. And now they're starting to charge in certain places for you to get in. And so, for example, it's $20 for parking. That's kind of like standard, right? $20 to get in. $20 for parking. And then in certain places, they're charging $20 to $10 to even get into the club or the lounge. And so that's at least like $30 to $40. So you don't spend almost $50 and you're not even inside the place where you want to be at. And so that is something that I had to learn early on. Again, when I came to Houston, I was still in college, so I was still, I want to go out, I want to meet people, I want to see what the night scene is like, but I was spending tons of money. And then it came to a point where I was like, I don't know who I think I am. I'm a college student, I don't got money like that. And it humbled me really fast as well. So I just told you guys the cons of what it's like when you are living in Houston. And if you are moving here again, those are the things that you want to keep in mind. And I try to be as transparent as I could with those, because some of those things could be a deal breaker for like families or individuals. So just keep that in mind if you are moving to Houston. Now I want to get into the pros. This is the most exciting part for me because I love Houston. But Houston has cons, but what place doesn't, right? Let's get into the pros of why you should be considering Houston or moving to Houston today. So not too long ago, y'all, I just mentioned how living in a big city like Houston can either be a pro or a con depending on the kind of person you are. And in that section, I talk more about the cons, but right now I do want to highlight more of the pros of living in a big city. And so yes, it may cause like traffic and delays when you are in a big city, but again, like I said before, when you live here, you kind of get accustomed to it, and it is what it is. But it's a pro, it's a benefit, because y'all, I just love how you can get a whole different vibe from different areas that you're in. So if you're in the Woodlands, that's a whole different vibe from Katy. If you're in Katy, that's a whole different vibe from Cypress or the Galleria. So I just love how everything in Houston has its own different vibe. And when you are in different places, everything you need is right there. And because Houston is so big, they kind of have to build the city that way, right? So if you're in Katy, you got your store, you got your Walmart, you got your Target, your H-E-B, you got your gas station, your hair salon, the nail salon, everything you need, the schools, it's all right there. You don't have to leave your neighborhood unless you want to. And in the beginning, I kind of mentioned in my experience of living in Colorado how I kind of felt like I was running into the same faces, the same people every single day. Well, even though like I'm not from Houston, so of course I don't know as many people as somebody who may have been, raised here, I still know a handful of people. I would definitely say like I don't run into people often. And that's one thing that I like, because when I'm going to my stores, I'm going to, things in my neighborhood, I see new faces and I get to meet new people versus being in the smaller place where I was running into every single body because there was like 5 Walmarts or 3 Targets, and so everybody was going to the same one. Because Houston is so spread out and everybody has what they need in their neighborhood, there's no need for us to all be in the same place, right? So, which kind of helps with like us being able to meet new people, see new faces, and not run into the same people all the time. Now, one thing that makes Houston stand out is how diverse it is. Houston is like a melting pot. So there's so many different cultures and people from different backgrounds that are here. And the thing that I love how Houston is set up is they make people feel like they're at home, even if they're not from here, no matter where you come from. So Houston does very, very well of making sure no matter where you're from or who you are, you have a place here, and they make sure you have a community of people that support you as well. So I love that. And you can ask anybody who is from Houston, anybody who lives in Houston, they will tell you the exact thing. Like, Houston is very diverse. And one thing from me, like living in Colorado, it wasn't as diverse. And so being able to be in a place where I'm seeing all kinds of people from different parts of the world, like I love that. And you get a chance to network with different people who can offer you something different, who can teach you something different, people you can learn from. So that is one thing that I love about Houston, is like everybody got they crew, but we all mixed in together, and I love it. I told you guys about like the culture and diversity here in Houston, but I do want to highlight how Houston makes you have a community here. And I feel like no matter what you want to do or what you want to create, you can make it here in Houston and people will come, attend, and participate. And that's one of the best ways to meet people and make friends here in Houston. And I say that because I do that myself. I participate in like run clubs, bike clubs, anything that I'm interested in, I join, and that's how I'm able to make connections here. And I feel like Houston is like a mini like a large university where everybody's here, they're moving here, they want to learn, start something new, meet new people, start a new life maybe. And you know how in college you can start a club or join a club? That's how Houston is. Like, you can legit start something, folks are going to come, you can already have a club in place, and more people will start to attend. And I think that's how Houston is like slowly growing, because people are seeing like there are things in place and things for you to do out here outside of going out. And if you are interested, you can join and build a community of people that have the same interests as you. And I think having a community when you move to Houston is so important, because not everybody is fortunate to move with like their friends or their partner or whoever, right? A lot of people come alone, and when you come here alone, it can be kind of like scary, or you might want to go back to where you came from. But when you have and you start to grow friendships and connections with other people that live here, it makes it way easier when you have people that you can call on or hang out with. And so I definitely recommend, if you are moving to Houston, start thinking about the things that you're interested in, and to see if there's like already things in place that you can just come in and join, because you do want to, start to build a life here. And one of the ways to build a life here is by meeting people and staying connected and, just growing with new people where you live. So that's what I like about Houston. And like I said, I participate in a lot of different things here in Houston. I just go around and I wake up and I just go. And so that's my next pro, is there's so many things to do here in Houston. You would never be bored. Like, again, I'm not even talking about the night scene, because I know that's what y'all like to do. Y'all like to go out, huh? But I will say that there are things to do in Houston outside of going out, y'all. you don't gotta go out in Houston to have a good time. There's always events, concerts, festivals, some kind of market, farmers market going on, or new restaurant just popped up. There's a new social club or something. There's always something going on in Houston. And again, going back to my previous statement about living in Colorado and there wasn't much to do, coming to Houston, it's like a kid at a candy store. Like, I'm hyper. I'm excited because, again, like where I came from, it was slow pace. It wasn't much to do. All I did was go to the mall and the movies. And then I come to a big city like Houston to where everybody is hanging out. There's things to do. I don't gotta go to the club to have fun. Like, I love it here. And I just wake up, I look on my phone, see what's happening, and then I just go. And that's the beauty of living in a place that's so big and offers so many different things and that's so diverse, especially when Houston is really, really big on community. They definitely show out for the city and make sure the people in the city are having a good time. Like, you will never be bored in Houston. If you're bored in Houston, it's because you are choosing to be bored. And I also want to clear this up too. People always say like there's nothing to do in Houston. There's only like outside stuff. But listen, social media has made Houston like this big night scene place that everybody got to be at. And granted, you know, Houston is a big night scene place, but there are other things to do. Like I was mentioning before, you can go to a whole different area and do something new that you have never done before. For an example, the Woodlands is really big on like the outdoor world. So they have so many like kayaking, they have hiking, they have so many different things that you don't even think you're in Houston anymore. They have ATV rides. They have so many different classes that you can take, like perfume making, candle making, lip gloss making, all kind of stuff. I mean, I can go on, and I'll do a video about things that you can do in Houston, but trust me, you would never, ever be bored. So now I want to get into the job opportunities. So Houston is known for healthcare, education, technology, and energy. So if you are into any of those professions, I definitely recommend you look into Houston deeper for that, because job opportunities will always be, you know, on the rise because those jobs are prevalent here in Houston, especially if you are a medical professional. We have a whole medical center where we have our best hospitals, and we also have people who live in the medical center as well. So if you are trying to, you know, pursue a medical profession, or you are a medical professional, I definitely recommend looking into Houston. Also, people travel in all the time to get medical treatment here in Houston. So that is one thing that we are known for out here, is having the best hospitals in the city. So take a deeper look into Houston if you are a medical profession. Outside of like the things that we are known for here in Houston, Houston is an entrepreneur city. And I'm gonna say it again. Houston is an entrepreneur city. And what does that mean, Ryan? Well, that means everybody's out here hustling. And when I say hustling, that doesn't mean people are out here doing negative stuff to get in trouble, right? Not that kind of hustle. I'm saying people are out here trying to make money. They have businesses. They're trying to thrive. They're trying, you know, they're really working hard to get to where they want to be. It's what I mean when I say entrepreneur city. Everybody has a business. Everybody has a hustle, and that's one thing that I love here in Houston. Because coming from a place that was kind of slow place, and I always knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur in some kind of way or form, you know, I just couldn't really see the whole picture because I didn't see it a lot where I came from. But when I came to Houston, everybody had a business. No matter who you were, no matter what you look like, everybody had a business. And it makes it feel possible, right? So I know a lot of people who are like, I have a business, but you know, nobody supports me where I stay, or whatever the case may be. People support you here in Houston. You have to be able to support yourself before anybody else supports you. And that's anywhere you go. That's honestly what encouraged me to kind of really step into real estate at the time, because I was in between grad school and maybe getting into real estate, but seeing more people around Houston who were in real estate that looked just like me inspired me to actually, you know, take a leap of faith and get into real estate. And so that's kind of a little bit how I got into real estate, not the whole thing, but seeing people who are doing what you want to do inspires you and it motivates you, and it makes it feel like it's possible. Houston has the people to help you get there, right? Like there's always people networking and trying to meet other people. You just have to be in the spaces in order to like be there and receive it. That's literally it. I know people who are hairstylists, barbers, people who do nails and lashes, and they come out here and they thrive. So if you are really big in like the cosmetology field, Houston is a great place. Houston is a great place. People will pay and drive anywhere to get a service done if it's in the cosmetology field, right? Men or women. But it doesn't even have to be a cosmetology field that you're in. Anything that you do and you put your mind to it, you can do it. And honestly, it doesn't matter what city you're in when it comes to being an entrepreneur, but I do feel like because Houston has so many entrepreneurs and everybody's trying to get it, everybody's trying to learn, like it just kind of inspires you and uplifts you, and it makes you want to be in other spaces with people who are just like that. But for me in Colorado, I didn't see that as much, so I probably wouldn't get that same push and encouragement, you know, in that real estate space like I do now. So like that's all I'm trying to say is like it makes it feel possible here, really. That's all I'm trying to say. So the last pro that I want to talk about is the housing market. Of course, we all know in Texas, it is the most affordable state compared to most states, especially like Colorado, California, New York, Florida, just to name a few. So if you're coming from those places, your money can stretch way further here than it will there. And I don't want to get too deep into like the cost of living because that's actually my next video. So that's why I want you guys to subscribe. That way you can kind of get a breakdown of like what you can pay here in Houston that you couldn't pay where you probably stay right now. I will say that the more you go outside the city, the more you would get for your buck. Again, the more you go outside the city, the more you're gonna get the bang for your buck. So people usually try to come out here and like, I wanna live in a high rise for $1,200 in the Galleria or downtown Houston. And it's like we cheap, we're affordable, but we're not like that, right? So I think in that video, I'm gonna talk more about like the expectations that people have when they come out here and what they think they can get and what they actually can get, right? So, but it is affordable compared to most places, and that's why people tend to move to Houston, because they can get more land, more square footage, more room space, just more everything in Houston. But if you are looking for like backyards, more lot size, you have to go outside the city. Like the inner city builds up just like this. That's why you see a lot of 4-story, 3-story homes. If you want a house that's wide and has square footage and it has room, you need to go outside the city. Again, I'm gonna do a video about the housing here in Houston and the cost of living as well. But that is it, y'all, for the pros and cons of living in Houston, Texas. And I honestly think I'm gonna do a part 2 because I feel like I kind of left some things out, just not really thinking about it. So comment below if you want a part 2 of more things of the pros and cons in Houston. I'm gonna make that video. But overall, my experience here has been great. Coming from a place complete opposite of Houston, I have definitely been able to adjust and make, you know, a place in a life here that I love and don't really want to move anywhere else. I feel like Houston has everything that I need. It has the people, it has the food, it has the culture, it has the things that I like to do or get into or try something new. It just has everything. The cost of living is affordable, and so I'm able to really thrive and really live the life that I want to live. And so if you are moving to Houston, I definitely recommend you do your research, and I do recommend you come to visit. Come to visit, because no matter what I say, no matter what somebody else's video says, it doesn't matter really. All that matters is what you think. Our information is just advice and tips for you to look out for, but what really matters is what your perception is when you actually come to visit. And so when you come to visit, I do recommend you come like during the week leading into the weekend, because the weekend in Houston is a lot different from like the week in Houston. And treat yourself like a local. Like go to local spots, get into some traffic, maybe come like in January and then come when it's really hot to kind of get like a different vibe of the weather if it is going to change when you do come. But really like try to come out here and see the city for yourself. In my opinion, I do recommend Houston, absolutely. And I'm not just saying that because I like Houston, because Houston honestly is not for everybody, but I recommend Houston because I feel like no matter who you are, there's a place for you. No matter what you like to do, we got it. Where you like to live, the kind of house you want, we can either build it or sell one to you. So I recommend Houston 100%. Now I said I was done, but y'all, how did I forget the most best thing about Houston, which is the food. How did I forget that? Okay, y'all, that is a super pro about Houston. People come to Houston all the time to like try new foods or just to eat. Houston always has a new restaurant. Every single day I open my phone, I'm on Instagram, TikTok, it's a new restaurant. It's a new restaurant, it's a new food truck, and I'm trying it all. And people who live here in Houston love the food as well. I mean, like the seasoning, the flavor is all there. And even if you want to step outside of like American food, traditional food, if you want to try a new culture, you know, they have it everywhere. They have it. And I just love that about Houston. Like the food here is so good, and anything that you want to try, anything that you want to eat is 10 out of 10. And I just tried Donna Letty's for the first time, which is a family-owned restaurant, and they sell Tex-Mex. And so the food was so good. I kept hearing the hype about it, but honestly, everybody hypes the food. Yeah, my phone had died. I don't know what happened. But anyways, I went to go try the restaurant, and it was so good. And I'm just waiting to go back. Like, the line was ridiculous. When Houston has a really good food spot, it's going to have a line. It's going to have a line. And that's another con I just remembered. That's why I need a part 2 of this video is if you're going to go to brunch here in Houston and you're going to a known spot, make a reservation. If you don't have a reservation, you're either not going to eat or you're going to be in line for a long time. One of the two. Either way, make reservations. And so just all in all, like Houston is really big for food, and people come down here all the time to eat, to try something new. And I love being somebody who lives here in Houston and has full access to anything that I want to eat. And so if you are a foodie just like me, you're gonna love it here. And so thank you guys for watching this video. If you are moving to Houston anytime soon, definitely click the link below, or you can email me and I will definitely set you guys up on a call so we can go over your goals and your lifestyle that you want to have when you are moving to Houston and get you set up. But if you just want more information about Houston, I do have a Houston relocation guide. All the exclusive things, I have things to do in there. I have more details about neighborhoods, all kind of stuff, school districts. So if you want that, definitely like this video and then email me. That way I can send you guys my relocation guide. Make sure you guys subscribe to my channel. That way you are here for the next video. Bye.